And we have to realize inclusive risk. That means inclusive means including climate change, including biodiversity, including the risk of natural resources, and we have to overcome volatility in the financial architecture. Since 1992, since the Rio conference, the Earth Summit, I think what makes it different is that there is institutional dynamics mainly on the national side, whereas the institutional dynamic on the international side was pretty much fragmentation. But nationally, we find that quite a few progressive or innovative governance sets have been tried and have been successfully implemented. But still, decision making is not integrated in the sense that all and everybody in the private sector community, all and everybody on the side of the state is already playing according to the rules and playing and deciding according to the necessity to come up with integrated solutions. So this still is on our agenda, and the national SD councils play a certain role here, and that, as I'm also, as you kindly said, in a position to tell you something about the European national SD councils. I'm happy to tell you that we will produce a paper on our green economy efforts, on action being taken in Europe in the national SD councils towards green economy. Quite a few of them focus on the metrics, the Stiglitz argumentation. Quite a few of them are also focusing on how to encourage private sector leaders to come up with green economy solutions, be it by ranking their sustainability reports, be it by award schemes, or be it by directly challenging the way decisions are being made in the private sector. And I can tell you from the discussion this morning, adaptive decision-making systems are well known in this area of the private sector. That's pretty much what they are doing. One last slide, I think. Germany had its peer review on the national SD strategy. This was last year. International peer review as part of the German governance system towards the sustainable development. The peer review was chaired by Björn Stigson, who is the president of World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and a couple of international peers. And what I put on this slide here is the setting of the of what we are doing in Germany and in Europe pretty much. And you see that we are involving the parliament very strongly, and increasingly we are now trying to involve the European Parliament as well. But nationally, parliaments are involved, because adaptive decision making is not a word for democracy. And so democracy managers have to be involved. We have a high-level steering within the government, trying to put things together and to come up with integrated solutions. And we have, of course, as I mentioned before, the private sector and the civil society as most important players here. Energy 2050 vision. The German government just decided to continue the use of nuclear power plants a couple of years, But long before the year 2050, they will be gone and they will be outphased. And then for 2050, we decided to go for the objective to have 80% of our electricity come from renewable energies, to have 80% of the housing stock retrofitted with energy efficiency, and to achieve this, there is almost there are lots of money that goes into research and development, because you see this is a plan or a goal and an objective that is not easy to meet. We have to come up with some new technologies, some new instruments for improving the grid, for connecting things, for storing energy. But at the end of the day, it's management by objectives. It's the way you show people what you could do possibly, and then you bring people in a position to do what is needed to achieve this goal. My part is I'm working for the Council for Sustainable Development, which is a multi-stakeholder body with private sector, with NGOs, with politicians, people from churches, and trade unions and stakeholders. So we are part of this, and these experience that we make had been the body of what I explained to you on the metrics for sustainable development. Thank you for your attention.
We have touched upon the definition coverage of green economy, that is very subject that we need to very careful when identified. And I think Gunther prefer to leave it loosely definition with some flexibility. The measurement is have a number of yardstick on consumption, production, growth, and prosperity, and he also talked in the incentive arrangement and decision-making process is very important. And he also shared experience from his point of view from his work on the council NCSD, which work with the civil society. Now open for the floor for any question and any point of discussion to be raised, please.
Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. I have two questions. First one is about KPI you mentioned, key performance indicators, social, environmental, and governance related. At the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned indicators. Average indicators may not miss important points, but when you use KPI, therefore some kind of measures are incorporated, not to only use average, but something other than average, perhaps to take care of some vulnerable groups of people. That's something just I'd like to know more about. That's the first question. The second question is involvement of, for example, politicians, parliamentarians in decision making. You mentioned democracy managers has to be involved. This may be very much related to the notion you mentioned in the morning, knowledge democracy. And therefore, if you could elaborate a little bit more about knowledge democracy, that would help. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the questions. First on indicators and KPI. The KPI are not like kind of normative indicators, but very specific. a company would be asked, what is